more potential to hit, to actually hit, make contact. I'm just thinking, whether you're talking about straight batting average or just contact rate.
The great Keith Law with us right now. You can follow him at Keith Law, read all of his work in The Athletic. Big fan for years. He knows this. So check out what he's got. Also, great follow on Twitter. So, Keith, great to see you. Actually, I want to bring you into this combo that we were just having about Reynaldo Lopez for a moment, because you're following pitchers, through their rise up the minor leagues into the show. Is there a way to handle this for a 30-year-old who's bounced around? Like, how do you not get to 175 innings with Reynaldo Lopez if you're the Atlanta Braves?
I think, in case if he's 30, I think it's a 1-year deal.
No, 3
years.
Oh, did they give him a 3-year deal? Okay,
yeah,
my bad. My mistake. So then maybe you are thinking a little more long-term, because I'm trying to say my point here is, how long-term are you thinking with him? You guys made the point while I was kind of waiting with Max Fried. He's going to free agency, right? You're not really worried about his long-term health. You're just going to, one of you said, you're going to ride Max Fried like the Brewers rode CC Sabathia that year, right? That is kind of how I think Atlanta should handle Max Fried. Maybe in Lopez's case, I might still manage him this way and say, we want to win this year. The goal is to get to the World Series this year. So if he shows signs of fatigue at some point during the season, like his velocity drops or he just starts getting hit around a bit more, then I would ease up on the throttle. But I would not want to manage his workload the way that teams typically manage, say, a 23-year-old. This guy has had no success as a starter in his career, really, before right now. And I'm still a little skeptical. He's always had trouble with left-handers. He's putting them on base at a much higher clip than right-handers. I wonder if that's going to even itself out. And maybe that's how they manage his workload, right? Maybe at some point during the year, they skip a start just to keep the seasonal workload down. But I would not be treating him saying, we're going to cap you at 120 innings for the year and that's it. Your goal is just to maximize the value you get out of him between now and ideally on the end of October. That's very different than, say, what the Pirates are doing that everyone's talking about, where they're barely pitching guys like Jared Jones and Paul Skenes.
That is exactly, what a great transition by you. You knew exactly what I was going to say. So what you're saying is the Pirates fans need to go and get their tickets now, because both of these guys are not going to be pitching, because all these innings limits, they don't mean jack. They don't mean jack. Everybody's still getting hurt. Yuri Lopez. Yuri Perez.
Yep.
Bang. Sent down to AAA. Oh, he's going to be healthy. No, he's not, because you broke him. He broke. Let him throw. So why can't the Pirates, who never go into free agency, let these guys eat? Let it eat. Let the Pirate fans have what they want.
I assume you've seen what Paul Skenes is doing. I don't know if you've ever seen him pitch. Like, what reason is there that he couldn't be in the big leagues right now? I do not understand it. I understand giving him, I said this before the season, they're going to give him a couple of home starts in the minors to keep the affiliate happy. I get it. I worked for a team. No. You do have to do a little bit of that. We're done. We're good now. It's time to call him up, because you're just wasting bullets. And as you said, I don't know of any evidence that having your starters throw, what did Jared Jones throw in that outing? 59 pitches, 50 strikes. That's like a half day. And they took him out. And what evidence is there that having a guy throw that little actually keeps him healthy? I don't know of any. We all know that throwing those guys 130 pitches when they're young, that led to a lot of blowouts. The Bill Pulsifers of the world, who probably should have had a great 15-year major league career. The Mets overpitched him when he was 19 and he was never the same again. We're not talking about that anymore. Nobody does that anymore, not in the pros. But now we're at the other end of the spectrum, where some teams are barely pitching their guys. And as you said, it's not reducing injuries. It's certainly not reducing the elbow injuries. We've gotten rid of a lot of the shoulder injuries, not all, but a lot. Now it's all these elbow injuries. Well, barely pitching them doesn't prevent the elbow injuries, and then you don't get them pitching. You don't even get the value out of having them in your organization in the first place. So I'm completely befuddled by what the Pirates are doing with those two guys in particular, because Jones has been unbelievable so far and incredibly fun to watch. And Skenes was the first pick last year. He probably could have pitched in the big leagues last July if they'd been contenders. And I don't see any reason for him to be in the minors right now.
Because they're trying to get him away from the Super 2 number. But I want to more hit on what you said. The Super 2 number thing, it irritates me. Just extend him. I know you just gave him a big bonus. Just extend him, whatever. Yep. We're not going to get into that. You said, I know teams make the affiliates happy. Please tell me there is not a shred of truth in that. because that would irritate the tar out of me if that is at all true.
Oh, that's absolutely true. Your affiliates expect, when you have a star prospect, they expect those guys to play somewhere because it's money. It is just straight money. I was actually kind of surprised when the Nationals skipped Dylan Cruz over Wilmington, which is where I live, last year to get him up to Harrisburg. Because one homestand here in Wilmington would have put a few $1,000 extra in the owner's pockets from ticket sales because he was the second pick in the draft. He won the Golden Spikes. Cruz is kind of famous for people who follow college baseball. For all 3 years he was at LSU. Those guys are money, like a rehab assignment, right? Where you decide where you send a guy on rehab. Some of that is about the level, but a lot of it is, all right, which team needs a little attendance boost? Yankees always used to do that. They were very careful about when they had the affiliate in Trenton, who got to Trenton, who got to low A, who got to high A, because you're like handing someone a check. Derek Jeter is going to rehab for a couple of games in Double A. I mean, they're going to sell a few thousand extra tickets.
Interesting. I never would have thought of it like that. But I always thought we went on rehab wherever the team was at home, so I didn't have to travel. But that was just,
That's true too, right? It does make it easier.
Plus, it was the timing, right? So, the one time I did go into rehab, actually, I went twice for 4 days total. One, I went to Frisco, which was Rangers. It was right there. It was a 20-minute drive. That was easy. Yeah. And then when I was with the White Sox, I actually went to Norfolk, and then I went to Charlotte for one game. So I actually had to make a road trip with the boys.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, exactly, Keith. Wow. And Kratz says I wasn't a grinder. He has no idea. Granted, you weren't. Granted, they took the bus and I took a flight, but that's a whole different
story. From Norfolk to Charlotte? Not a grinder. I mean, if I can double down with a grinder, you don't understand. You don't even understand what MILB means. But anyway, go ahead. Continue, AJ, with your question.
So while we're on the topic of Norfolk, and Norfolk was the Orioles, Jackson Holliday's off to a rough start. I mean, is there any chance that they don't keep him in the big leagues and get Norfolk a bigger check?
Yeah, when Norfolk's really having trouble with their offense right now, I'm sure they could really use the help. It's a great question. Even just talking to some scouts, over the last week, I've mostly been out seeing amateur guys, but people are asking, hey, are you surprised? Do you think they'll send him down? They might. I don't think they want their prize prospect. Holliday's a pretty great kid. I'm not worried about him getting so down that it affects him long-term, but you also don't want him visibly struggling either. You don't want all eyes on him, especially the big league team otherwise is doing great. You don't want there to be undue attention on this kid. My worry is you send him AAA, he's just going to rake again. He's already kind of shown there's not a minor league level that's appropriate for him. For him to make the next set of adjustments, and I think it's pretty clear it's not just one adjustment, he probably just needs to be in the big leagues. And I would argue, if I were in the front office, we're good. We're fine. We're going to score plenty of runs. He can certainly help us on defense. Just bat him ninth most days, pretty much every day. Maybe sit him against the occasional lefty, but get him at bats in the majors so we can keep working with him. He can keep making adjustments. I don't know that that's absolutely what they're going to do. Maybe at some point they just decide enough, we send him to AAA. But that's what I would be advising if I were if I was in that particular front office.
Got it. Well, he was 1-1 in the draft, and you just put out your list not long ago, and you do not have the right player at the top of your draft. So can you explain why you have Condon at the top and not Jack? Because Jack does everything.
Homer.
Jack hits. Jack throws from the left side, 95.
Homer.
He hits homers.
I can't figure it out.
I can't figure it out.
I'll message my editor right now and have them change it. You tell me who to put there.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I like Jack, right? It's great. He's got the most power of anybody in the draft. And I've seen him pitch. I happen to think he needs to just go into pro ball as a hitter. First base, probably try him in right field. Just let him hit. But there's some swing and miss there. And I think hopefully just doing one thing will allow he'll make those improvements, right? He's doing two jobs at this point. And I don't know how much time he's really able to spend on improving his pitch recognition. Condon, for me, he's going to be a little faster through the minors. And he's got pretty significant upside, too. It's probably going to be more of a balanced approach where it's more on base, more batting average, doesn't have the otherworldly power of Caglianone, but I think Condon, last I looked, was still leading Division I in homers. And he's played okay in center field. That was the most surprising thing to me, was seeing him. People talked about him like, oh, he's not going to have a position. He played fine in center. If he ends up in an outfield corner, he's going to be pretty good. He has played third base, and the area scouts I've talked to down in Georgia say he's good enough that if you wanted to send him out as a third baseman, you could try it. and see what it looks like. Obviously, as the game speeds up, maybe he has to move, but we're talking about him playing a skill position. And so he's providing positional value as well as value at the bat. To me, Caglianone is the guy you take if you just want to shoot for the biggest upside, because you might get a 40 homer guy. And I don't think Condon, Travis Bazzana, JJ Weatherholt, who's back and at least hitting now, none of them can offer the upside of Caglianone. So to me, it's really, what are you looking for? The guys who get there a little quicker with a little less ceiling, or do you just want to shoot for the moon and maybe get that middle of the order bat?
I mean, you shoot for the moon. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. He did lead the nation. Caglianone did lead the nation in homers last year. He did go. He also did just hit nine homers in 9 games or whatever it was, 9 straight games with a homer. Just saying. But I digress. Yeah. Now, Kratz is going to call me a homer because I'm a Gator fan, not a Georgia fan. But understand. I also know Condon's family a little bit, so it's fair. Through friends. But okay, now you mentioned in your article too, Kellen Lindsay. Now this is a kid I've been hearing about for a few months. I have some friends that are scouts. I'm from the Florida area. And there's a scout that I'm good friends with, and he's like, I got this kid. I don't want anybody to know about him. And then all of a sudden, you go and write this article and blow him up. Why, Keith, did you do this about
Sorry.
Kellen Lindsay?
Can't hide him. He's best runner in the draft. Somebody
he was a
said,
football guy, right? He was like a
Yes.
football guy, and he was super raw, but I guess he can just fly.
He can fly. I mean, it was 4 flat from the right side, and then I saw him line 1 to right center. And you see guys hit inside the park homers in high school like all the time, right? Because 2 outfielders collide or there's no outfield fence and the ball just keeps going and going. Lindsay legitimately made it around the bases without the other team screwing up, right? He can absolutely fly. And the thing I found so interesting too is talking to a scout later that week. I was just at the NHSI tournament in North Carolina. And the guy says to me, everyone's afraid of missing the next Trey Turner. And I thought, it's like, yeah, that's pretty good, actually. Because if you go backwards on Turner, first time I saw Turner, he was a college freshman, not a high schooler. But it kind of looked like that. Similar body, super athletic, obviously extremely fast. Nobody thought Trey Turner was going to get this strong and hit for this kind of power. And I think people are looking at Lindsay and saying, extreme athlete, incredible runner, the swing works. He's raw as a hitter. And a lot of that is just because where he plays. It's Central Florida. It's pretty low caliber baseball.
Hey!
Sorry.
Whoa! Love that stuff by you, Keith.
Whoa!
Yes!
No. He's from like where McCutcheon's from, like
right.
Actually, he's north of there, but
Wauchula.
He's from like Wauchula, which is like small town. Like
4,000 people. I ate at Wyndham after the game because there was not a lot of. Not Orlando. 2 hours from Orlando. Almost a 2 hour drive. Yep. It's just the pitching he faces down there is not great. That's the problem you run into. And because he didn't do a lot in the summer and the fall, I think he was still playing football for at least a portion of that. So scouts haven't seen him facing better velocity, for example. It's uncertainty. It doesn't mean he can't do it, but it means we don't really know. We don't have the same feeling that we would on some of these other guys like Connor Griffin or Bryce Rayner, who are 2 other first-round high school guys who scouts saw last summer and saw in the fall, and they've seen them face better quality pitching. So that creates some uncertainty around Lindsay. But I think the Trey Turner comp is really interesting because Turner, I think, was underrated really all the way up through the draft. He should have been picked higher than he was. And I include myself. I never thought he would get to this kind of power. So I think people are looking at Lindsay and saying, premium athlete, can really fly. We don't want to be late on this guy like we were on Turner.
Yeah, what about McCutcheon? He worked out all right. He's from the same area.
He's pretty good. He
turned out okay. So let's I don't know where you're from, Keith, but let's slow our roll on Central Florida doesn't have any players. Okay. We just talked about 3 that are from the general area. We talked about Caglianone, McCutcheon, and now Lindsay. So there's pretty good threesome right there.
You get players out of there sometime. Kyle Tucker. I mean, he's okay.
Keith, just say
For sale, I'm just saying.
It's nothing like the Northeast, Keith. Just say it.
No, it's true. I'm a Northeast guy.
Yep.
Who drafted you? Who was your area guy?
Blind person? Oh, sorry. Chip Lawrence.
It was Chip. I thought so. I just saw him last week, actually.
What a great dude. He's now like one of the head guys for the Padres, I think.
Yes. I think he's a national guy. Yes. Yeah. Which would make sense. I see him all over the country. Yeah. Yep. He's had a pretty good run.
He's done really well. Yep. Diamonds and roughs.
Definitely had a good run if he scouted Kratz, and he's still going strong.
At Eastern Mennonite, right?
At Eastern Mennonite University.
Powerhouse. Absolutely.
Powerhouse. So first player to ever get drafted out of Eastern Mennonite. Second to make the big leagues.
There was an undrafted guy before you? Messed up.
No, guy that didn't even play baseball. He played basketball. Larry Sheets played basketball. He never played baseball there because he was drafted out of high school. Then he quit and went back to school. And then he was like, oh, I'll go and play if I don't have to play in the minor leagues. And then he went and had a
I still remember your name from the draft room because at that point I was just doing the stats. I wasn't out seeing players. And Chip wanted you. And I looked and was like, yeah, this guy raked. I know, it's obviously not the SEC, but you did the best you could do with the competition you had.
It was not the SEC.
Okay. No, it was not.
It turned out well. I get to sit next to Scott, and he smells nice. So.
Thank you. Bicep to bicep. All right, question from a fan here, Keith.
Yeah.
You could have one shortstop, Marcelo Meyer or Carson Williams. Luke wants to know which one you would choose for, thriving in the bigs.
Great question. Two of the best pure shortstops in the minors right now. I think Meyer has more potential to actually hit, make contact. I'm just thinking, whether you're talking about straight batting average or just contact rate. I like Carson Williams a lot. He's a heck of a defensive shortstop. He runs better now than he did in high school. The Rays worked with him on his running gait, and he actually picked up speed. But I think Marcelo is going to hit for more contact, and that's going to lead in turn to more power because I do think he's a stronger kid. I think they're both really good prospects, both everyday shortstops. But I'm still rolling with the guy with the all-star upside. And it is, by the way, for folks who haven't followed, Mayer's been hurt a lot in his career, and it's been a lot of weird, fluky stuff. So just seeing him get off to a good, healthy start this year and have him really hit up to expectations, it's just very satisfying after 2 years of it's very up and down. Is he going to get healthy? Is he going to pan out? I think we're seeing it now.
And then let's finish with the bigs. So we have more swing analytics thanks to StatCast these days. So you were giving us a little analysis on Twitter about Jose Abreu. I'll let you explain it better than I could. So what are you observing?
So I saw, even in his last year with the White Sox, it's like he looks like he's slowing down. Like the bat looked slower. And then I went, at this point, we didn't have this data here that came. Tom Tango is great, works for MLB. We have some actual now TrackMan style data on swing speed. But even then, you could see Abreu wasn't hitting better fastballs the same way. That's really common for hitters as they get to their mid-30s. It's just hard to maintain that bat speed the older you get. And obviously, pitchers they're still throwing as hard as ever. So it is weaning guys out of the league. It's becoming more and more of a young hitters league. And what you see there on that aging curve, once hitters get it past about 32, 33, the bat speed drops off really quickly. And I think in Abreu's case, the small signs I saw in his last season with the White Sox were a harbinger of a really big decline that started last year. And this year he's just off a cliff. I mean, I'm not happy to say this, but he might be done. It is just possible that he's not able to hit major league fastballs enough to still be a big leaguer, or at least he's certainly not a big league regular right now. And it's disappointing, but if you're in a front office, you just have to be callous and say, who are the best 9 players for us every day? And Abreu probably isn't one of them for Houston.
All right, Keith, you and I, we need to have a show where we just argue with each other.
Perfect.
I disagree with this because I had my best year at 35, so my bat speed didn't slow down.
That's true. There are always exceptions, right? There are lots of guys who do peak. What is Justin Turner is 39, 40?
Yeah.
I was going to say he's close to my age. I'm 50, so it's not actually close to my age. But
no, you're still 40. You're still 40.
Yeah, I'm in range. But like, why? What I find fascinating is some guys just don't, right? They just don't lose it. And is it just they're better athletes to start with? Abreu's always a great hitter.
Definitely a better athlete. Definitely me.
Yes, well, you were, right? Premium athlete. You were an 80 runner back in your peak, right, AJ?
I think they timed me at 3.6 once.
He scored 80 runs.
Absolutely. Yeah. Timed you with a sun.
80 runner.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's the big finish, okay?
Yeah. Shoot.
These guys are probably going to give me crap because I talk about him too often, but he's thriving. You know where I'm
Elly
going.
De La Cruz. I know,
but there's more depth to this question because of the swing analytics that we have. Tom Tango also wrote about how he should just be a one-sided hitter, right? He thinks he should just bat from one side. I don't know if you saw any of the stats there, and just what your thoughts. Yeah. You saw that?
I didn't see that, but I follow where you're going with this.
Okay, so what do you think for Elly? Do you think that he should pick one side? And is this what you're expecting from him right now from what we're seeing? Obviously, he's off to a great start, and I'm bragging about it because I've been high on Elly.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, that's about as much pure athletic talent as anyone in the big leagues, I would say. I mean, it is the sky is the limit for him. The question of should he just bat from one side? I don't think that's easy to it's fun to talk about. I don't think it's easy to answer because you give up so much when you do. The advantage of switch hitting is obvious, right? You should have much smaller platoon split. You may, obviously guys are better from one side or the other frequently, but so many guys have a large platoon split. It's really true for left-handed hitters. Left-handed hitters in general don't hit left-handed pitching very well. When we find one who does, especially as a prospect, you want to grab hold of that guy because he's not a unicorn, but it's pretty unusual. So I would always be loath to have a guy give up switch hitting too soon. What I find interesting about this is, does swing speed data help drive some of those decisions to say, maybe it could go the other way too. It could say, hey, no, stick with this. This guy's bat speed is fine from both sides. We just need to give him more reps, versus saying there's a big difference in bat speed from the two sides. And therefore, or maybe there's a big difference in exit velocity from the two sides. And that drives some of those decisions. I'm fine with using this data as another input to these decisions. I would not want to be at a point where someone says he doesn't have the bat speed from the right side, so he can't be a switch hitter anymore. I would not go that far. Make it one more variable in a bigger discussion that incorporates not just the analysts, but the coaches and the player as well.
Yeah, I like that. It's a great answer. Yeah, because he was saying maybe ditch the right-handed swing. It's a slower bat speed, all that. Like, pump the brakes. Let's look at the numbers. Let's
he has crazy bat speed from the left side too. So it's a slower bat speed from the right side. Okay, but how slow, right? This guy he's a freak. And I say that with all love and appreciation. Like, it is crazy how good. First time I saw him, I was like, that guy's 18, I think he was. He was in Instructs. I'm like, oh my God, like, where did they find him? Like, and are there more? Can we go back and get more? Like, I want Elly De La Cruz's all over baseball. And by the way, he's like, we just were watching the game last night. My wife's a huge Phillies fan. We had the game on, and she goes, he's really fun, isn't he? As they're beating the Phillies too. And I'm like, yeah, he is incredibly fun. Like, we want more players like him, and we want to let them be themselves on the field as much as possible.
Exactly. 3 swipes for him yesterday. He's a show. He's the most electric player in the league right now. Keith, this was awesome as always. Really appreciate having you on. For everyone, follow at Keith Law, just the name, and check out all the articles in The Athletic. Thank you. Good
Keith,
to see you.
Hang on, Keith. 1 second. I never do this, but you are a minor league prospect aficionado, so I'm going to do something ahead of time. Can you tell me what logo the Kratz Hats is for today?
Wow.
I should know this.
Come on, Keith. You're a Northeast guy. Come on, you're a Northeast guy. You should know this.
Yeah, I should know it. Why am I not? I can't make it out.
It's done. It's an R. Mariners. It's an R. It was the Mariners. It was done in 2003. The team moved to Manchester, New Hampshire.
Wait,
they play in a college.
That was New Haven, right? They played at the Yale Field, right?
Yeah.
New Haven. The Ravens? Oh, that's a Raven on there? Oh my God, I thought it was a fish of some sort. I'm looking at that. God, I went there because they were our affiliate, right? Did you play for them while they were still at the one, right? They were 1 year.
The 1 year with the Jays. With Alexis Rios.
Oh, that team was great.
Dom Rich, Russ Adams, Guillermo Quiros, everybody.
Yep. I remember coming down there, and I can pick on Yale. I was like, really? This isn't even a good college field, let alone a AA field. Yeah. So they needed to move. Manchester's pretty nice too.
Oh, Manchester's. That's Manch Vegas. But anyway, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Keith.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.